Here's how Caroline lost 20 pounds with Juniper.
Juniper.
Head to my Juniper.
Everything about Juniper.
Lose weight and gain control with weight loss medication.
Put your health first with Juniper.
So what is this mystery drug? My name is Sarah, and I'm going to tell you how weight loss advertising misleads the consumer and manipulates them into using pharmaceutical drugs that could be damaging to them. We will be looking at the Australian company Juniper as a case study, since these are the ads I've seen the most. However, I've also seen similar ads from SheMed, Voy, MedExpress, and Hers. So what is Juniper? Juniper is a service which provides their customers with a subscription to weight loss medication. Their main two products are Wegovy and Mounjaro. You've probably heard of Ozempic either through the news or through the millions of memes, which is a drug intended to treat type 2 diabetes, and Wegovy is the dosage of Ozempic approved for weight loss. Both Wegovy and Mounjaro contain semaglutide, which imitates GLP-1. GLP-1 is the hormone that makes us feel satisfied after eating, so the drugs make its users feel less hungry and cut out what the community calls food noise or hunger noise. Wegovy only targets GLP-1, while Mounjaro targets multiple hunger-related hormones. Didn't we all watch The Substance last year and see what happens if you inject yourself with a mail-order prettifying medication? Jokes aside, they are really useful drugs, and there are successful clinical trials as well as many stories online of people who have hugely benefited from having them to treat their diabetes or obesity. Honestly, the more I research them, the more I stand by weight loss injections, and I definitely don't think that we should make them harder to get hold of for people who could really benefit from them. There is evidence and research in progress that suggests that these injections and medications could help with diseases such as dementia. There's a huge range of conditions that these could be helpful for besides diabetes and weight loss, so it is exciting to see where this might go in the future. That being said, let's take a look at how they're being advertised. Juniper adverts. I've watched a lot of Juniper ads. When I say I get them all the time, I mean if I'm watching YouTube on TV while scrolling on my phone, I'm often seeing a Juniper ad on both screens at the same time. Some are misleading and manipulative. Some are straight up weird. Let's take a look. These Halloween ones were kind of cute, but what is this? At first I thought it was an AI image, but it actually looks like they've just stolen a photo of Chupa Chups, and then removed the logos. Of course, Juniper, like every company nowadays, has to dabble in marketing meme culture. There aren't a lot of these, and most of their adverts are more informative or showcase their customers' stories and weight loss progress.
Before Juniper, I was a slug.
Wild way to start any ad. Would you still love me if I was a worm? This one is so weird because I've stared at it for a while and I can't work out what body parts it is. Is it an arm? Is it a thigh? Is it underpants lingerie or bra lingerie? Maybe it's engagement bait, in which case consider me hooked, lined, and sinkered. Facebook has actually removed one of these because it doesn't follow their advertising standards, but they don't list why, and there are still other versions of the ad running. Their obesity facts ad has good intent, but looking at the comments, it did not land with the audience. A lot of Juniper ads say medical weight loss is not cheating, and initially I thought this was a silly way to advertise, but after reading the comments section, I see why a lot of people get defensive over weight loss injections, when the general sentiment of the public seems to be start exercising and stop stuffing your face with cake. Also, shout out to the person who got a Juniper tattoo and comment below if I should get one. Probably the most unethical Juniper advert, in my opinion, is this one. Men lose weight faster, women get blamed. First, this doesn't give any credit to the societal pressure that men face when it comes to their bodies. The media holds high standards for both men and women, and every gender will struggle to meet these. This ad somehow discounts the work that both men and women put in. It implies that men have it easy when it comes to weight loss, and it also suggests that women are trying in vain because their bodies don't work the same way. I don't want to deny that women's health and research has been sorely overlooked throughout history. However, there is nothing to suggest that a healthy diet and regular exercise aren't a huge benefit no matter what your body type. The effectiveness on different bodies is certainly debatable, but the rules are the same. And for some bodies, hunger-repressant drugs are an essential tool. But it's not right to suggest that the things people are doing to better themselves don't work and can't work, and that this product is what's needed for them to see results. I did fill out the Juniper quiz to see if they would recommend for me to take their products or if they would refer me to someone first. Part of the reason that I wanted to make this video is because I'm on my own weight loss journey. My GP had recommended that because of my weight, I'm more at risk of blood clots because of the medication that I'm taking. Because of this, I've adapted my diet to include more vegetables and fewer carbs, and I've been trying to walk more and going to yoga classes. When I took the Juniper quiz, I weighed 70 kilograms and I was 160 centimeters tall. I'm still 160 centimeters tall. I don't know if that's changing at this point. That put me at a BMI of over 27 and qualified me for the weight loss injections. I've lost some weight since, and I have dipped a little below the 27 BMI mark. However, being so borderline, it's crazy to think that a couple of months ago, or even on a day or a week where I'm a bit heavier, I could qualify to take semaglutide. I've seen testimonies where people have admitted to lying about their weight or height, or slouched in photos that they sent to a pharmacist in order to qualify for the drugs.
I'm 6'6" and a fraction under obese. At 6'5" and the same weight, I would qualify. So I slouched.
And what happens when people are taking it and very quickly fall below that BMI threshold? After entering my details, Juniper took me straight to the payment page, and of course I ignored that. But I'd forgotten that I'd also given them my email, so I started receiving emails with ominous subject lines like this. It feels a bit like the Duolingo owl when he sends me death threats, except that one is telling me to use a language learning app for 5 minutes a day, and the other is telling me to use a prescription pharmaceutical that I don't need. Advertising medicine in the UK. In the UK, it is illegal to advertise prescription drugs. Semaglutide can only be obtained via prescription in the UK. So how does Juniper get away with it? Well, they have been called out. The MHRA, Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, dealt with complaints against Juniper's advertising of prescription-only weight loss injections in 2022 and 2025. Since I still see ads for Juniper as well as other weight loss injections, the advice must not have been to take down the advertising completely, but to align it more with the government's advertising regulations. 3 other companies were warned against their weight loss medication advertising in December 2025, and in this report there was also a complaint against Juniper. However, the MHRA decided not to take action in this instance. The ASA, Advertising Standards Authority, put out a video in December 2024 warning against illegally advertising prescription-only weight loss medications.
Advertising a prescription-only medicine to the public is against the law and against our rules.
Although it seems so clear-cut when you read the documentation that prescription drugs aren't allowed to be advertised, I can see that certain tweaks in their advertising might make them legally acceptable. Juniper offers weight loss treatment, and although the GLP-1 inhibitors are their main product, they do also say that they offer support and advice to their customers. If you consider that the company is not advertising themselves as a source of weight loss pens, but as Juniper, who can provide a personal trainer, a diet plan, or medicated weight loss where applicable, I can see that they are not technically solely advertising prescription drugs. I doubt that anyone would say that programs such as Weight Watchers and Slimming World, who also offer a diet plan and support, would be considered medical treatment and therefore should restrict their advertising. However, Juniper's main product is clearly the weight loss medication, so they are towing a very thin line. When I took their quiz the second time and my BMI didn't qualify me, they said that there was nothing they could offer me at the time, which kind of sounds to me like all they sell is Wegovy and Mounjaro. The ASA says that if online pharmacies advertise weight loss treatments in general, the only product on their landing page shouldn't be weight loss medications. It seems like Juniper manages to avoid all the medication advertising rules by technically not advertising a medication, while still clearly advertising a medication. If they were working by the legal standards outlined by the MHRA and the ASA, then the following adverts would violate the legal requirements. Promote a medicine use that is not covered by the summary of product characteristics. In this advert, they suggest that PCOS symptoms will be eased by their products. This is likely true because of the overlap of symptoms. However, GLP-1 agonists are not currently approved for the treatment of PCOS. Make misleading claims or use pictures that may lead to a wrong self-diagnosis. Loads of their ads encourage people to consider if they are eligible. This one says you may be eligible if your BMI is 22, which, if you read the fine print, is only the case if you're already taking a weight loss medication. But if someone were to scroll past this and just read the big lettering, they could easily think, my BMI is 23, which is a healthy BMI. Maybe I'm on the overweight side. Imply that seeing a doctor or pharmacist is not necessary. Juniper often advertises themselves as being a shortcut, and you can skip the GP. Quote recommendations by scientists, healthcare professionals, or celebrities. There's this whole advert where they're showcasing that Serena Williams takes this product or a similar one. Although she is not directly endorsing it, they are using her to promote it. State that normal health can be improved by taking the medicine or be affected by not taking the medicine. This is more of a grey area, but they do imply that overall health can be improved by taking their product. In this one, the influencer says that after taking Juniper, the basic things feel easier. Juniper and other weight loss medication providers are certainly not the only ones that are on thin ice about this regulation, and I can see that for a range of products it would be difficult to define what violates this clause. The ASA talks more about indirect advertising and even go as far as to say that talking about weight loss medications while showing an unmarked needle isn't allowed because it clearly is showing weight loss injections. Juniper does not show needles, the closest they get is a test tube, and this initially confused me because I assumed that their product was an oral medication. And sidebar, why are they showing this at all? The fifth or golden dose is a rabbit hole I'm not going to go down in this video, but I definitely don't understand why they're trying to use it as a marketing point. The ASA warns advertisers not to use before and after photos and be careful using numbers because it heavily implies efficacy. They also say that the safe weight loss limit is £2 per week, and adverts should not imply that you could or should lose more than this. This wasn't super easy to work out per week because they either say the progress by stones or in kilograms. 27.5 kilos is 60.6 pounds, and then we divide that by 4 months, and then divide those 4 months by 4 weeks. That comes to 3.7 pounds a week. Here are a couple other calculations, so sometimes they're over £2 a week and sometimes they're under. Ads should not imply that a customer won't experience side effects and should not downplay them. Some Juniper ads even feature NHS employees, which implies to the consumer that the company is endorsed by the NHS. Additionally, according to the ASA, celebrities and influencers should not be used to promote prescription-only drugs. Juniper has many influencer sponsorships and has even used the Prime Minister in their advertising. The Keir Starmer one has been censored by Facebook because they believe it should include a disclaimer. Even if Juniper tailors their adverts to appease the advertising organizations, it still feels unethical to market this way due to the advertising climate in the UK. Because of a combination of the laws surrounding advertising and having access to free healthcare via the NHS, healthcare is in general less commercialized in the UK than it is in countries such as the US, where it's common to see adverts for medication. In the UK, we are usually only exposed to adverts for medications which can be bought without a prescription, such as for allergies or headaches.
Pepto-Bismol.
Brits aren't used to having pharmaceuticals advertised to them. Because of this, in the UK, seeing an advert for a pharmaceutical is socially coded to mean that they can be easily obtained and don't require a consultation or medical professional's opinion. This is further enforced by Juniper with their adverts that say that you don't need to speak to a GP because you would speak to a pharmacist or doctor through Juniper, giving the impression that the medications are available to anyone rather than prescription only. Of course, all medicines can be misused, but seeing an advert for something like Ozempic in the UK is not the everyday norm. Sanitizing it by referring to it as medicated weight loss and being vague about the product means that the consumers may not realize what they are getting if they don't do their own research. Targeted ads. If these were being broadcast on television or pasted onto a billboard, I might have just ignored them. However, on social media, I was being bombarded by Juniper. Every other YouTube ad I got was for Juniper. I scroll Facebook and Instagram and get Juniper ads. I'm a mobile games girly, and my games are constantly interrupted by Juniper ads. Even when I extend my streak on Duolingo, it's Juniper. Tom Nicholas recently did a video about testosterone advertising being targeted to him, and it feels like the weight loss medication advertisements are the female version of that. Also, him posting that video made me very frustrated because I've been working on this for months, and apparently so has he, but he got there first. Tom, you take your testosterone, I'll take my Ozempic, and then we'll see who the strongest fighter is in a battle to the death. Anyway, despite their strict advertising regulations, I can't see anything on the UK government website restricting the targeting of ads. I'm aware that by researching this video, I have royally destroyed my ad preferences, so you could argue that I'm getting targeted these ads because of my browsing history, since I'm constantly Googling Ozempic, Mounjaro, semaglutide, what is 150 lb in kg, am I eligible to take Ozempic for a video essay? However, Google has a helpful way to see how ads are targeted. If you tap, why am I seeing this ad? It will explain what has led the ad to you. A lot of times it will say, based on your search history, or based on the time of day. Juniper ads say, based on your age and based on your gender. So we're targeting women in their 20s? A vulnerable demographic who are constantly bombarded with unrealistic standards for how they should look? For prescription weight loss medication. Thankfully, this doesn't seem to be quite as dystopian as it seems. YouTube gave me more specifics. This explained, as well as confirming that I was being targeted for having my gender set as female, that I was being targeted for my age being over 18. I had assumed that the age bracket that they were targeting to was 20 to 30 or 25 to 35 or something along those lines. But I mean, thank goodness we are excluding the under 18s. Of course, that doesn't mean that the ads are excluded from children and teenagers, but it does just mean that they're more likely to come across it based on factors such as browsing history. And you can always do what my mother did, which is turn off personalized ads on Google. Like I mentioned with their advert about male weight loss, this is harmful to both demographics because it puts pressure on women while also excluding men who may benefit from the treatment, all for the sake of targeting the ad to a specific demographic. Other questionable advertising examples. Juniper isn't the only company towing the line of legal advertising, and weight loss injection providers aren't the only perpetrators. Since starting research on this video, I now also get adverts for body sculpting devices, gastric sleeve surgery, labiaplasties, and magic mushrooms. And just to be clear, magic mushrooms aren't legal to buy or sell in the UK. The company I saw is based in the Netherlands, where licensed companies can sell mushrooms. So again, like with the weight loss medication, it's up to the consumer to do their own research. If I bought from this company, I would illegally possess magic mushrooms. But seeing it advertised so cleanly and professionally, this might not occur to me. I might see the ad and think, I didn't know magic mushroom microdosing was allowed here. That's cool, I'll give it a go. Those of us who've been chronically online for the past 20 years are no strangers to dodgy adverts. We've all seen the dermatologist hate her type ads, and on a sussy website, you would just ignore these. You wouldn't call a number on a bus stop if it offered to give you a good time. However, while on Google or Meta websites or apps, you usually see more legitimate adverts. Sleek product photos and website designs give legitimacy to the advertising. Increasingly, I feel like this is a moderation issue. As I've seen, Facebook does remove and censor adverts if they're flagged. However, with companies running hundreds of ads, it doesn't look like adverts have to be approved before they go live, and Juniper seems to resubmit adverts that get taken down. As always, the internet is the Wild West when it comes to moderating content, and with different countries having different laws regarding advertising, Google and Meta would struggle to monitor every advert and ensure that the guidelines are being followed for the people that are seeing that content in this multinational internet world that we live in. The responsibility is on the advertising company to do the right thing, and as we know, we can't usually trust the actions of a company who will benefit from doing morally and legally questionable things. In conclusion, Juniper is advertising to a country and society where we trust our medical advertising, and this means that the consumer may not realize that weight loss injections are prescription only. If Juniper was really interested in breaking the stigma surrounding medicated weight loss, they wouldn't target their advertising at women and not men, and they wouldn't encourage people who don't need their product to consider it. Marissa McWhirtner wrote an article for The Herald about seeing adverts for Juniper and other weight loss products. As she has struggled with an eating disorder, she considers what others like her might be feeling when they see adverts for weight loss injections, and said that if her younger self had been exposed to this type of advertising, then she would have been obsessively trying to figure out how to get my hands on Juniper Jags. Like me, she also looked at the MHRA and ASA regulations and is similarly confused about why the advertising is allowed. Her article came out a little over a year ago, around the time I also began to notice an excessive number of Juniper ads, and I don't think that I've seen a difference in their prevalence since then. Juniper and weight loss medications are just one example of how advertising rules could be manipulated online, and I hope that this opens up a conversation about how products which could be harmfully misused are advertised. The Advertising Standards Authority encourages you to report to them any advert which you feel breaks the rules on prescription-only medications. Juniper, unfortunately, I do know her. Thank you so much to everybody who's made this video possible. Thank you so much to Sean Cottrell for redrafting this to me, and to Write Club Leith for letting me workshop the script with you. Thank you to all the family and friends who sent me articles and videos to help me research this.